start recording. And so yeah, so I just want to make sure we have you on the shot here. So yeah, just about that night, what I was pretty much told was that Dave wasn't supposed to win.
No, he sure wasn't. It was a surprise even to me. We'd had a good campaign. Walter John Chilson was a good state senator, and after Laird was picked as, Secretary of Defense for Nixon, then that seat was open. So the candidate that had run the year before, I guess Laird, Larry Dahl, said Dave should run. So he wanted Dave to run because Dave was in the assembly.
Yep.
But Dave had opposition from Bert Grover, who was also an assemblyman from over in Shawano.
Okay.
Later became superintendent of schools.
And he was probably good friends with Chilson then, right?
Yes, yes. And then Chilson ran, of course, on the Republican side. And it was a tough night, I'll tell you. Louis Hanson, who was the state chairman of the Democratic Party at that time, was up here. And by gosh, I can't remember the name of the other fellow. There was a fellow here from the National Democratic Party, but I can't remember his name. Just can't.
But it was kind of all hands on deck. Everyone was up here when they.
Oh yeah,
when they,
yeah, it really was. But about midnight, over in Madison County here, one of the areas that was a big Democratic area. What was it in Dane County, in Madison County, where the
women went home.
what?
The women went home with the ballots.
Yeah.
Oh.
Women, it was 2:00 in the morning. They got tired, so they just took the ballots home.
Stopped counting for the day.
So
Illegal.
Yeah.
we had a judge from over in Langlade County, and he was here that night with us. So he called Ray Ott, our county attorney, county
Clerk.
what?
County clerk.
County clerk, and he said, "Ray, you get the women back here, or I'm going to order it as a judge." And that's how we got the ballots back, so we could get them counted that night. And we only won by a little over 1,000 votes in the whole
Wow.
congressional district. So it was a close race.
What did the congressional district look like at that time?
Oh, it was heavily Republican. The big areas that were Democratic were in upper northern part, Superior,
Okay.
Ashland, that area, and then Portage County. Democrat was Stephen Foy was very heavily Democratic, but we had 18 counties at that time. The rest of them were all Republican. But Dave did extremely well in some of the more moderate counties, Lincoln County, some of those. And it was close enough so that we would have had a recount one way or the other. But we pulled it off by just a little over 3,000 votes, I think it was, out of 100-some thousand cast.
And I had never realized that a congressman was elected because of a special election. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Laird had been their congressman, but once Nixon was elected, Nixon picked him for Secretary of Defense, and Laird was an excellent congressman, by the way, but he had told Nixon he would be his Secretary of Defense, but would serve only one term, and Nixon had to give him free rein to get the Vietnam War settled.
Yep.
And Nixon agreed. In fact, he wrote it out on a napkin when they met Laird was telling my dad. My dad was from Marshall. He had a sign company there, and in fact, he'd been mayor of Marshall, and he'd run for the assembly out of Marshall as a Democrat. But he and Laird were really close, and Laird was telling him about that night. He was saying, Nixon, he said he wrote out everything on the back of a napkin and gave it to Laird. So once Laird took office, then boy, it was Katie bar the door. There were a number of Republicans in the primary for that seat, and Chilson won it. And for us, Dave was there pretty much all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
But the later it got, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, we realized we were in the race.
Mm-hmm.
And about that time, we were ahead by about 1,009 votes. I think I can't remember how many votes there were, but you can check that in the Blue Book, in 1970 Blue Book.
Mm-hmm.
And the Judge Traegers told us we're going to win this race, and sure enough, we did. So about 8 o'clock in the morning, we had breakfast at the Gaslight. His dad, Dave's dad, owned the Gaslight, which is used to be the Knights of Columbus Hall here.
Okay. Yep. Right across the river.
And, so we all went there for breakfast. After Dave went to a plant cake that morning to shake hands with the workers afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
and he had really worked hard. I don't know how he did it. Well, he was young.
Mm-hmm.
We were all young then.
Because wasn't he 29 at the time?
29.
29.
That's
Yep.
right, 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dave Obie's always been a personal hero of mine, just because he was chair of the appropriations committee, and he brought
That's
so
right.
much back to the district here, and anytime anyone's ever asked me, hey, well, who's your, well, outside of that interview, and then where my answer was John Kennedy, but there was another thing where someone asked me, well, what political icon do you look up to? And I said Dave Obie.
Well,
that other time.
You're right, because he was a dominant force in Wisconsin and out in Washington
Mm-hmm.
D.C. No question about it. He told me the night of the election that he wasn't going to be a one-term congressman. He says, I said, well, if you get a chance, will you move on to the Senate? No. He says, I've always wanted to be in Congress, and that's what I'll say. And he stayed 41 years.
Yeah.
So, what else can I say?
They had said that, so now he wasn't supposed to win, but they think that another factor of that was something about Nixon was going to cut farm
Yes.
aid,
yes,
right?
that's right.
Okay.
And I convinced them to run ads literally on election day before 5 o'clock in the morning on the radios, because all your dairy farmers have their radios on. And his Secretary of Agriculture was going to reduce the dairy budget, and that did make a big difference, no question about it. I didn't know we'd really won it though until 2 or 3 in the morning. It was that close.
It was a late night, huh?
Oh, long night. Yeah.
And then the rest is history. And then did you go to Washington right away with them then?
I didn't go to Washington.
Okay.
I stayed here and ran his office. Here.
Okay.
I was a home secretary for him here. So, but yeah, I ran that for. Nelda, when did I retire from that?
Boy, I don't even remember. I don't remember.
I think it was in the 1990s sometime, or no.
Yeah, would have been in the 90s.
because Nell, he retired in 2010,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd left him by 1998. I retired in '98, and Nelda worked for him too, but I did too. I still ran his campaigns and stuff. I just wasn't in the office anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I was off the federal payroll, but then I was on
With this campaign.
payroll till he retired.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna